I don't want to be part of your life. Those were some of the hurtful words that my mom said to me. Hold up, that's how it all got started. My parents officially met my girlfriend in person, and they were not happy. I already came out to my parents before, but this is living proof that this truly isn't a phase. As a result from this meeting, my parents were so dissatisfied that they cut me off. But I promise you, it gets better. Let me bring you back to a more present time. If you guys watched my previous video about how my parents had disowned me, well, I have an update. What happens next? My parents have reached out to me wanting to try and mend the relationship. In this video, I'm going to talk about how that rekindling pretty much happened and how this relationship is going to move forward. Maybe this may help you in your situation if, say, your parents are trying to reach back out to you, especially after saying some really hurtful words. It had been several weeks after I had gone basically no contact from my parents. On my previous video, I talked about how it's super important to be content with your actions and reminding yourself of the reasons why you're doing this. In my situation, it was me wanting to be with my girlfriend, which my parents were not happy with, and my parents being uncontent with my partner, or my choice of partner. Who do I choose? And it's not really a choice of whether I should break up with my girlfriend to make my mom happy, or I should be with my girlfriend because she's right for me, and therefore I am choosing to let go of everything with my family. And it does feel that way. I'd really put a lot of thought into how I want to have that conversation with my mom, and it was really hard, like trying to make sure that the words that I said were going to be the right words and mentally come up with defenses if she were to try and attack me. My advice to you, if you are trying to re-engage with your parents that have said some really hurtful things, is one, keep in mind of the potential things that they may attack you. Kind of like preparing your case for a court or any sort of argument, right? In speech and debate, for example, back in school, you want to come up with potential things that they may bring up, and you want to present responses to combat that. But also, if it ever gets super toxic where your parents are yelling at you, or they're just really just personally attacking you by insulting you, at that point, you need to call it like timeout. Tell them, I see that this conversation's not going anywhere. I'm gonna hang up and we'll try and pick this back up again. And if they're just gonna keep talking over you and like keep yelling at you, just hang up. It's just not worth the energy. That way it'll allow you to cool down from that interaction. Also for them to cool off and to come back to the conversation with more level-headedness. With my relationship, I guess mom really was just glad for me to reach back out to her. She was really happy that I called and was like, hey, you know, I've put some thought into it and I would like to work on a relationship together. I know there's a lot of things that need to be fixed, but I want you to understand my boundaries and where we're coming from. Basically all this good stuff. I don't remember exactly what was said, but my mom was okay with the terms. Basically saying, hey, let's try to work this out. She has boundaries, I have boundaries, we need to respect that. And she needs to understand that the words that she said before are not a-okay. I just don't want her to walk away from this experience that, hey, I'm gonna come back to this relationship and pretend like everything she said, I don't want you to be part of my life, like it never happened. So I actually had a conversation with one of my friends who's having some really difficult interactions, I guess, with her parents, to the point that her husband was gonna get in a fight, straight up fight, fist fights with her dad. After having this conversation, I wanted to bring this to the table to share with you guys how I want to proceed with this relationship with my parents. Okay, so there's this Confucius saying, well, I'm not sure if it's Confucius, because we just, you know, Asians, we just want to come back to this guy, this old dude who seems to have wisdom. But yeah, he does have wisdom for today's video. You want to act like a rock. What I mean by acting like a rock is you want to be unwavering to their behaviors. You want to be still and be firm with your actions. And whenever your parents are guilt tripping you, insulting you, you don't want those words to change your behavior and make you do what they want. For example, had my parents continued to insult my girlfriend and like when they were talking to me and insulting me for choosing to be with her. Ultimately, my mom's goal was to have me break up with my girlfriend. But I really had to think internally, like, is this really what I want? Is this somebody I want to be with the rest of my life, irrelevant to what my mom is saying? That is just one example. But really, you want to keep this in mind for anything that you're doing. You know, this is the life that you're choosing to live. Do it for you. I know it's easier said than done, because having lived 30 years of my life, there's just certain unhinged things that they've said or they will say, which is why I don't want to live under the same roof. It's just not good for my mental health. But this definitely takes practice and having your own safe space. Like, I have my own space under my roof. Number 2 is calling out on their BS. This is kind of like training an old dog with new tricks. My parents, they came from China. They didn't have concepts like boundaries and mental health. You're gonna have to retrain them that, hey, you can't just say this stuff and you're gonna experience no consequences. And with our culture, where we're always expected to respect our elders, especially with the concept of filial piety, which is a concept coined by Confucianism, right? Going back to that old guy, is the virtue of exhibiting love, duty, and care and respect for elderly's ancestors and our parents. Like, we always feel indebted to them just because they are our parents. Here we are in America. We are breaking generational trauma and generational trends. We need to teach them that people have boundaries regardless if we're their kid or not, and people deserve respect. Number 3 is making sure that you give yourself space to cool off if things get toxic. So like I mentioned before, if my parents were to start yelling at me on the phone, you need to disengage. That, again, will allow you and the other party to return to a level-headedness before having this conversation again. And finally, number 4, be patient. Again, going back to teaching an old dog new tricks, it's going to take time, especially with our parents who are going to be so set in their ways because they've grown up in such a different environment. There was no such thing as, like I said, mental health or boundaries. They don't understand these concepts. You have to really be firm and unwavering. Otherwise, they're not going to take you seriously. The moment that they say something that hurts your feelings, that is guilt-tripping you, and you fold, that's going to show them that they still have control over you. You don't want that. You want to show them that you are your own whole person. They can't have control over you. You are making your best decision as an adult. So in summary, this is going to be a cyclical feedback loop type thing where you're going to introduce maybe a concept. Oh, like, I'm going to spend July 4th with my girlfriend or her family. If they're gonna like quibble about something or make some backhanded comment, you gotta nip that in the bud. Tell them, hey, you can't be saying that. Whatever you have to say in order to address it. And if they're going to escalate from that conversation, you back off. If you want to re-engage, you need to remind them, hey, you can't just say those things. Kind of like teaching a child and seeing if they want to come back to this relationship. Hey, we're still working on this together. Of course, you still have the choice of going back to no contact, but they need to understand that their actions have consequences. I hope this was helpful for you guys. I'm still learning along the way. Please reach out to me if you guys are going through this experience with your parents. I know it's not easy. I'll keep you guys updated. Remember that what you're doing is that you're choosing yourself. You're choosing for your own happiness, not because you have some sort of duty to your parents to fulfill. Okay, get rid of that crap. Now that you know how to train your parents instead of how to train a dragon, how to train your parents, you might find this video helpful. It's going to be a video about how I dealt with my internalized homophobia. You might be dealing with this, or it might be an interesting story for you to hear and how I overcame it. If you enjoyed this video and want more content like this, where I talk about LGBT dating and my dating journey, don't forget to hit subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you in the next one.